Well, hello everybody. It is Gordon Sanchez. I am taking a hiatus from hibernation to bring to you some exciting news. I will be starting a podcast shortly called Winsome with Gordon Sanchez.
Block them on all your social media platforms.
It's going to be a very winsome podcast, and our first episode will be defining what it means to be winsome. Because I still have to look that up. But I wanted to give a couple of quick thoughts before we really get into official podcast territory, and just sort of talk about the Ukraine situation for a couple of moments. Now, I know there's a lot of opinions right now, but one thing that I could address, because it is in our backyard, it is what we are currently dealing with, and that is, we know probably the greatest threat we face in the United States is Christian nationalism. And what does that mean? Well, that means that people are mean and they say they're Christians and they are nationalists too. At the same time, we need to remember that nationalism and even Christian nationalism can be okay. So what I want to sort of present to you just for consideration are Gordon's rules for Christian nationalism. In other words, when is it okay to be a Christian nationalist? Well, I'm going to give you a short list so that you understand when that is indeed okay, because there are times when it's okay. First, you can be a Christian nationalist if you are being attacked. Now, there only has to be optical. There just has to be optics that you're being attacked. You don't have to factor anything else in. As long as it looks like you are being oppressed, then you are allowed to be a Christian nationalist, should you fall into the other things I'm going to list, which brings me to number 2. If you are not a major Western power, for example, if you are English, French, German, American, Canadian, then Christian nationalism is a little bit more dicey. That's something you want to stay away from. But if you're a lesser, if you're from Luxembourg or really any Eastern European country, or really any European country, period. Actually, if you're anything other than American, it is usually okay to be a Christian nationalist. Now, one requirement for Christian nationalism is you can advocate Christian nationalism if you're being attacked, but it must be by white people. So if you're attacked by any minority group, this does not count. You cannot be a Christian nationalist. Now, what is another requirement for being a Christian nationalist? Well, you must have an attractive-looking leader. He needs to be very handsome, and he needs to give off cool dad vibes. If that requirement is met, along with the other ones previously mentioned, then Christian nationalism can be considered. Now, this is a very specific requirement, but it's very important. Your capital city in the nation that you reside must have minimum 27 craft coffee shops or at least 11 breweries. Either one is okay. This really cuts out all Asian and African countries. Really what happens in those countries doesn't really matter that much. It only matters in European countries and Canada. Those are the only places that you can do this. It's not that obviously we stand for our black and brown brothers and sisters. It's just that it doesn't matter what happens in their country. Any of their countries, so that's something to remember as well. And finally, you must be, and this is related to the previous one, you must be a democracy. Now, what is a democracy? Nobody really knows, but you have to be that. If you're not that, then you can't be a Christian nationalist because you don't love your neighbor. That's it. I hope that helps guide your nationalism. Gordon out.